Okay, so welcome back. This will be the last lecture for this module, which is metalworking, and in this we were discussing about friction. So, we have looked at all the various aspects of friction, particularly the deleterious effects. Now, what we are going to look at is that friction is not all bad. There is a role of friction, and you will see that if friction did not exist, you would not be able to do rolling, which is one of the most ubiquitous process used in metal industry. And we will begin, like I said, with the example of rolling. So, let me draw a schematic of rolling. So, let us say these are the two rolls and this is our material which is being deformed. So, it is gradually getting reduced. So, this is the point of entry and it moves on to this point, which is the exit point. So, this is our workpiece, which is a height, let us say h naught. It is moving at a velocity v naught. After rolling, its heights become hf, final height final, and it has a velocity vf. This is the point at which it is entering the roll, and it is these are the points where it is exiting the roll. So, I will give these two particular points as label. So, this one is A, this one is B, and this is the roll. I have not drawn it completely, but somewhere over here you will have the center of the roll. Now, look at the roll and the fact that the material is moving. What is the velocity of the roll at the surface? It will, if the angular velocity is omega, then the linear velocity will be equal to omega r. So, let us say this is the radius r. So, v is equal to omega r is the constant velocity of the roll across this length. But is the metal piece moving with a constant velocity? At this particular point, if you look, it will be moving it with a velocity v naught. At this point, if you look, it will be moving with a velocity vf. And which one will be larger? This has a larger area and this has a smaller area, and if we take into account the constancy of volume, we can write this relation B h naught v naught is equal to B. B is the dimension in the third dimension, B hf vf. So, from here we can see that vf is equal to h naught by hf times v naught. So, this ratio is greater than 1, it means vf will be greater than v naught. So, this velocity is larger, this velocity is smaller, and if you look at the different points, even at different points we can have b h v I, where h will be the instantaneous height, v will be the instantaneous velocity, and b will be the third dimension. So, at each and every point you have a height, you have a velocity, and the velocity will keep increasing with the gradual decrease in the height. So, velocity at this point is v naught, but it is continuously increasing as it goes on to this point hf. It means that the velocity of the workpiece is not same as velocity of the roll, at least for most of the point. There may be one point, and there is actually just one point where velocity is equal, and that point is called as the neutral point n. So, before this, if you look, before this the roll is moving slower to the workpiece. Sorry, roll is moving at a higher speed, because over here the velocity is gradually increasing, and up at some particular point it will gain the same velocity as the velocity of the roll. Beyond this point, let us say this is the connected line, up to this point roll is moving slower. Okay. Now, if you look at, again let us go back and look at this. So, there is some pressure or load PR that is acting onto this particular point. So, there is a PR, and simultaneously there will be a frictional force. Now, what will be the direction of that frictional force? The frictional force would be acting in this particular case, because here the roll is moving at a higher speed. So, it is trying to pull the material to the outside. So, the friction is acting in this direction. And what will happen to this friction force after the neutral point? It will start to act in the reverse direction. So, the friction force here is acting in this direction, the friction force is acting over here in this direction, and the inversion point is our neutral point, and this is our PR, which is, so let me define, PR is our rolling load, and if you take the vertical component of this, which will be called P, vertical component of PR, what will that be? So, you have a PR which is pressure PR, that the load PR that is acting in this direction. So, it will have some contribution also in this direction, and what will that actually be trying to do? It will be trying, what it will trying to do is actually not only pushing or deforming the material, but it is also pushing away the two rolls. So, it is also called as separating force. So, this is the geometry for rolling. Now, over here let us try to understand how will the pressure vary across the contact length. What is the contact length? Okay, so let me come back here again. This is the point at which it starts to get in touch, and it is this point that the material exits. So, this total length is called contact length or LP, and there is a geometrical way or relation to calculate LP in terms of R and the angle alpha. So, if this is, what will be alpha here? Alpha is the total angle subtended onto this contact length. So, in terms of the radius R of the roll and contact length alpha, you can calculate LP. And what we are trying to do is trying to find out how is the normal pressure acting along this contact length. You remember when we talked about friction, we saw that in that disc the friction, the pressure, the normal pressure was not uniform. It also so happens to be the case over here. If you look at the, let us say this is point A, this is point B, and this normal pressure and this is your contact length across the contact length. So, this is again point A to point B, and the total length will be LP. This is how the variation exists. So, at some point there is a maxima, and can you guess what will be that point where it is maxima? Yes, it will be your neutral point. So, this is your neutral point, the point at which the velocity of the workpiece equals to the velocity of the rolling die. Now, if you look at this plot and if you connect these two lines, there are two different components to it. This, let us hatch it, then this hatched region is the pressure of force required to overcome friction. So, it seems that at this point it would look like the friction is still acting in a negative way. We have to provide some force to overcome friction, but very soon we will get to the point where you will see that if friction did not exist, rolling would have happened. And it is this region, I will not hatch it, but it is this region where the force required for actual deformation. So, this is the force that is actually doing the deformation, and this is the force that is actually being required just because their friction exists. Okay, so far it like I said, it looks like friction is not really helping us, it is working against it. But let us look again. What will be the force or what will be the condition for us to ensure that the workpiece actually moves in the forward direction? For that we will have to calculate. So, here I will keep this geometry, and we have two forces acting over here, PR and FR, the friction forces. Both of them will have component in the x direction. What are the components in the x direction? They are, if you look at the, and if we call this as theta, then the horizontal component of this is PR sin theta, and the horizontal component for friction is FR cos theta. Now, if we want the material to move in the positive direction, we must have FR cos theta greater than PR sin theta. You see PR, which direction is the PR work acting? For this particular configuration that I have shown, this horizontal component of, these are the horizontal components. So, this is PR sin theta and this is FR cos theta. So, we want that the material should move in that direction, right, because rolling should ensure that the material comes out in that direction, which means FR cos theta must be greater than PR sin theta, and this should be true for all theta. Theta varies between 0 to alpha. So, this will, if this happens to be true for alpha, where cos theta would be smallest, then we can be sure that at each and every point FR cos theta is greater than PR sin theta. So, we can write it as FR cos alpha should be greater than PR sin alpha, and in the limiting condition and it becomes equal to sin, or we have FR by PR equal to tan theta. But what is FR by PR? FR by PR is nothing but what we had defined earlier as mu. So, this is mu equal to tan theta, or if we use again the inequality, what it is saying is that mu should be, this is now alpha here. So, mu should be greater than tan alpha. And what is this condition necessary for? This is the condition necessary to ensure that the workpiece actually moves in the positive direction. Otherwise, what if the mu, the friction is less than this value tan alpha, then the workpiece will not move forward and hence no rolling will take place. So, for rolling to take place, mu should be greater than tan alpha, and this is where I was saying that friction is not only useful, but it is important, or you can say necessary. If this were not true, or if friction were not existing, then, or when you say let us say mu is equal to 0, then it will always be less than tan alpha, and hence the material or rolling will not take place, and therefore you may not have heard of any process like rolling. So, mu equal to 0 implies no rolling. So, again let me emphasize that friction is not only not always deleterious, in some cases, particularly in this case, it is even necessary, not only useful, but it is necessary. Now, let us move on to even another important relation related, since we are talking about rolling. So, let us talk about still another important relation. If you look at the LP, which is the contact length, you can see that LP is actually equal to square root R delta H, where delta H is H naught minus HF. So, this is one way to write the relation for the contact length. Now, over here, if you go back to the diagram, over here we can say that tan alpha is also related to LP approximately. So, let us come back to this figure. This is our alpha. If we are calling this as tan alpha, then approximately tan alpha is equal to LP by R. So, let us use this relation over here, tan alpha equal to LP by R, and therefore, we have tan alpha equal to under root delta H by R. And since mu should be greater than tan alpha, we can say mu should be greater than equal to under root delta H by R. Or again simplifying or putting or readjusting the terms, we see that delta H would be less than mu square R. So, where R is the roll diameter, mu is the friction coefficient, and delta H is H naught minus HF, which is also called as draft. So, it says that the maximum of the draft or the delta H, the maximum reduction that you can get is related to these two terms mu square R. Now, let us say again here this one again proves what we have already seen in the previous example. Let us say you put mu equal to 0. What will happen to this? This will become delta H should be less than equal to 0. That is, you cannot get any reduction. So, this is the delta H is describing nothing but the maximum reduction that you can get, and here it is saying that when you have mu equal to 0, then the maximum reduction is 0. So, you cannot basically get any reduction. Another thing that we can deduce from this relation is that if you need larger deformation, for example, let us say your rolling diameter is fixed, that is R is fixed, and you want to increase delta H. What is the best way to increase that delta H? You increase mu. So, large deformation needs larger friction. This is again something that we are able to deduce from this relation. Only when you increase R, you will be able to get, only when you increase mu square, you will be able to increase delta H for a given rolling die. Now, mu mostly depends upon the rolling material, die material, and the workpiece. So, let us say that your rolling die material is fixed and the material that you want to deform is fixed. So, mu gets fixed, but you still want to get very large delta H. So, another way is to increase the radius of your roll. So, even if you are using the same material for the rolling die, but by using a larger diameter for the same thing, you can improve or increase the delta H value. So, for same friction condition, a large dia roll allows larger draft or deformation. So, you will be able to get larger delta H value either by increasing, in simple terms, all we are saying is that if you want to increase delta H, you either increase mu, and if you cannot increase mu, you will have to increase R. And if your mu is 0, which is the condition of frictionless condition, then you will get no rolling. So, these are some of the important takeaway messages from our rolling that we have considered so far. So, now that we have looked at rolling in so much detail, there are few more aspects about rolling that we can consider here and continue discussing on this, although these are not directly related to friction, and that is defects in rolling. What are the kind of defects? Now that we have discussed so much on rolling, defects in rolled materials. Now, whenever you do rolling, you must have seen that the rolls onto which you do the deformation, they themselves get a little bit deformed. So, let us say this is the front view of a rolling mill and you have put a workpiece over here. So, what is happening over here? The rolls are applying a pressure onto the workpiece, but at the same time the workpiece is also applying a pressure onto the rolls, and because of that you would see a deformation taking place over here. This is called crowning of the rolls. And if you have something like this, what it would mean is that your deformation for the workpiece would also be non-uniform. So, over here you are getting larger deformation on the extreme ends, and on the inside you are getting lesser deformation. So, in effect the final product should have looked like something like this. However, if you have very large pieces, what you may see is something actually like this. So, this is called wavy edge. Why is this happening? Like I said, on the extreme ends larger deformation is taking place. So, this part is getting elongated more than the central region, and this extra elongation is sometimes accommodated by this wavy nature. So, this becomes wavy. In the center you have still very flat region, but on the edges this becomes wavy. Another outcome that is possible is something like this. So, let us say the material does not get wavy, but still there is more elongation over here on the edges and less elongation over here. So, this would try to accommodate that by breaking up in somewhere in between, and this is called zipper breaks. So, these are some of the problems that naturally occur if you use a simple plain roll, and the way to take care of it what do you think can we do to take care of it? We see that the rolls become deformed like this. So, in order to ensure that the final product or the after deformation it remains straight as we would have wanted, why not start with a roll which is a little bit dumbbell in shape. So, the rolls to begin with are dumbbell in shape, and actually this is what is termed crowning of rolls. So, you have crowned the rolls, there is curvature to it, given there you have given additional material in the center. And now let us say I put a workpiece over here, this workpiece will tend to deform this, and to be more accurate, let the workpiece should be thicker. So, let me draw it a little bit thicker workpiece, and to take care of this additional load being applied from the workpiece, this becomes flat. It has actually deformed, but because the original shape has a curvature in the middle, so after deformation it becomes flat in the center. On the other hand, the other side will become even more curvature, will have even more curvature. So, this when you do this, the workpiece that will come out will be flat, because the rolls are near the contact are flat, they do not have any curvature. So, the workpiece will come out flat and it will have no more wavy edges or zipper breaks. So, this is one kind of defect that you can expect when you are doing rolling. There is still there are few more kind of defects that are possible when you are rolling. So, let us look at the other one. Again, let us say you have a roll like this, and you have put a workpiece over here. Now, our ideal theory is that the workpiece should elongate only in this direction. However, there is always a tendency for the workpiece to elongate also along lateral directions. Now, this tendency to expand laterally would also depend on the pressure that is acting onto the material. But is the pressure that acting onto the material uniform across? We know from our friction understanding that it is not really uniform. There may be a pressure distribution like this. So, in the center of the material piece there will be more normal pressure, on the extreme ends there will be lesser pressure acting on it, and therefore, this part will try to elongate or try to extend laterally more than the others, and hence what you may see are conditions like this. So, this is edge cracking. And it happens because of the tendency of the material to expand laterally, and moreover this tendency is higher in the center, and it gradually becomes lower and lower towards the edges. The other kind of defect that this can lead to is what is called as center split. So, this part is trying to extend this direction, this part is trying to extend in this direction, and you end up with actually splitting the material from the center, and hence it is called center split. So, both of them, the origin of both of these is because the pressure is acting and the material has a tendency to expand laterally. And this particular kind of defect can also occur when you have inhomogeneous deformation. Meaning, let us say the sheet were not exactly flat, in some regions they are thicker than the other region, in those cases also you can see this kind of defects. And there is still another kind of defect that happens only because of inhomogeneous deformation, and this will look like something like this. So, let us say you have to take a very hard material and try to deform it. What you would see is that there may be some kind of barreling on the edges. So, the material is being deformed, or the rolls are over here. So, the rolls are over here, and this is the material, and what has happened is some kind of barreling effect or overhanging sides. So, there is more deformation taking place over here, more deformation taking place over here, and less deformation taking place in the center along the direction of the deformation. So, in this particular region you have, so if I were to draw, so the intensity of these green shading says where the more deformation lies. So, there are more deformation over here and much small or very little deformation comparatively in the center. And this can happen under what circumstances? When you have very thick material that you are trying to deform. So, your starting material is very thick, or when you are trying to give very large deformation in one go, or you are trying to deform a material which is hard to deform, which is has very high hardness. So, if you do this for more than one pass of a rolling, you may end up getting something like this. So, it gets split from the center, it is different from the split over there, it is getting. So, if I look at a sample which is being rolled like this, then in this particular condition it was getting split from over here. So, it would split, one part will go this way, one part is going this way, and here are my rolls. But in this particular case it is getting split over here like this. So, one part is getting over here and the another part is getting on the lower side, and here are again, here the rolls are. So, this is called alligatoring. So, these are some of the different kinds of defects that can occur when we are doing rolling, and as you can see that all of them are interrelated. So, rolling, some of these defects that we have seen happens because there is load being applied and the load is also being back applied onto the rolls, and sometimes it happens because there is uneven pressure being applied, which happens due to presence of friction, and at other times it happens because of inhomogeneous deformation of materials, and we get something from center split to edge cracking to alligatoring. So, now we have covered all the important, there are various other aspects, but we have covered all the fundamental aspects of metal processing. We started with simple stress strain, plastic deformation, then we looked into the mechanics, the two important ones, the lower bound and the upper bound. If you have these two, you know there is a what is the window to calculate forces and loads for the deformation. And then we looked at the role of friction. First we looked at only the deleterious effects, the two different kinds of definition of the friction, one the Coulombic and the other interface friction factor, and then we looked at the positive aspect of the friction, which was in rolling. So, we saw that if there were no friction at all in rolling, you would actually get no deformation or no rolling at all. And then in continuing our discussion on rolling, we also looked at the various kinds of defects that can form during rolling, and we looked at three different classes of these defects. So, I hope you enjoyed this course, and in the next module Professor Anshu Gaur would be talking about thin film deposition. So, thank you.